Pressure. The amount of force exerted per area. In other words, you could say that pressure is something experienced by both physical and mental distress. So, what is the cause of this experience? What makes us feel pressured? And how can we make sure that the pressure is something we're strong enough to resist? To me, there's two different types of pressure, which in turn can be divided into two categories. To simplify this, I used to think that these different kinds of pressure is the pressure that my younger self puts on my older self and vice versa, that affects me both mentally and physically. So, what's the difference, you may wonder? Since I was a little kid, I've always loved to be challenged. I loved when someone told me I couldn't do a certain thing to later prove them wrong. Those words always triggered my inner competitive personality. This experience felt positive because when I was a kid, I believed I could do anything. My confidence was exceptional, and my consequence thinking wasn't developed enough to understand my own boundaries. I loved that little me, the one who was throwing herself into all kinds of situations, not thinking twice about anything. And this quality is still a part of me as a person. But with age, I've developed more fears when I've realized that there can be consequences to certain actions and reactions. This can sometimes lead to an inner conflict between my younger self that could take a lot of pressure, believing I could do anything, and my current self, who's become more realistic and understands my boundaries in a better way. This inner conflict can be described with the feeling of pressure. The expectations from my inner child being turned into fear and doubt by my older self. To give an example of this, I can tell you about a scenario when it can occur in my life. My younger self had an infinite amount of energy. I could run for days without breaking a sweat, while today I definitely experience feeling tired a lot more often. My body doesn't recover as quickly from the same amount of pressure that I could handle when I was younger. And I think a lot of you can recognize yourself in this feeling of having to listen to your body's signals more carefully. In this scenario, it's a pressure that I've put on myself, a physical demand from my younger self to be able to pressure my current self to the same amount as I could in my past. What this does is that it leaves me experiencing a mental pressure because I'm aware of my own boundaries. But what about the scenarios when it's the opposite to this scenario? When do my younger self feel physical pressure caused by mental pressure? A scenario where I feel my younger self experiencing pressure is when I need to act as a responsible older self, the one I am today. The situations when I need to act accordingly to what I believe society demands of me as an adult. The feeling of me needing to know things that I don't. The sometimes overwhelming feeling of balance, how to be able to take care of myself, both financially and mentally. And this can, in unbalanced conditions, leave me experiencing physical symptoms. And these symptoms are caused by the stress that my mental pressure puts on my body. Those symptoms can be fatigue, headache, stomach aches, and so on. And I think this is very common in our society today, that a lot of us are in a battle with our younger self more than we should, and more than we need to be. I think we should try to understand that it's okay to not know things. To be able to ask for help in areas we don't master yet is totally fine. Because we're not born masters, but we can become masters by letting go of our adult self demands. We will never be fully learned. And the expectation that I sometimes have of myself is just an illusion of what I've seen in different people I admire around me. If I would take one of these people that I admire and study them one by one, I would soon understand that they don't know everything. They're all masters, in my opinion, of one specific area, while they're also students in other areas. I think there's more people who, just like me, sometimes get caught in the idea that they have to become a superhuman who needs to master everything. But the thing I realized with these people that I look up to and admire is that they often don't look at themselves as masters. They are still in the mindset that they're students. And this realization blew my mind and got rid of the phenomenon of pressure in a negative sense. When I focus on being an apprentice instead of the master, I feel so much lighter, and I feel in touch with my inner child in such a magical way. Because I think pressure is just an illusion, and that it can cause both negative and positive experiences. And which feeling it becomes can be an active choice. Do you want to fight your inner self or not? Do you want to stay true to yourself or not? Do you feel pressure because of others' expectations of you? Or do you feel pressure because of your own expectations of yourself? When I experience positive pressure is when I dare to challenge myself to do things for personal growth, to prove my adult self that I'm growing and learning. It can be when I moved from home, when I started my own company, when I cook food for myself, when I get to bed in time, or when I go out for a run because I know it's good for me. And I also think that the right amount of pressure and the right kind of pressure is beneficial for us to keep on evolving as people. And that the wrong kind of pressure can stop us from growing and get more and more detached from our inner selves. So, with this said, I want you to ask yourself, what kind of pressure that's most common in yourself Is it mostly mental or physical? Is it caused by outer expectations from society or due to inner expectations? If it's physical, it can be an inner conflict with your younger self. And if it's a mental pressure, it's probably a conflict with your adult self. Strive after making pressure a way of helping yourself to feel strong and able to grow stronger bones by carrying a little bit of weight. See it as lifting weights at the gym. If you lift the amount that pressures your muscles in a way that makes it grow stronger without bursting, it's the perfect amount of resistance. So don't try to lift too heavy too soon, because you will gradually grow stronger. So one day you will be able to lift those heavy weights. And to end this, don't be so hard on yourself. Talk to yourself. Ask yourself questions. And give yourself challenges that you can reach with a bit of focus and growth. Because I believe in you.